What do you feel or think the state of adult work is currently, qualitatively?
A mess? No.
Well, someone said it. Someone had to say it.
I have no issue saying that I never want to have a discourse with you. I'm not interested in what you have to say. Because how do you justify that?
A lot of these people in this industry, they'll criticize you in a heartbeat. They'll try to praise you when they think it's beneficial to them, but they don't give a. The vast majority of people don't give a.
I hate them. I hate them all. I hate that they have this platform. I hate that they are taking away from gay creators.
I don't know if you're aware, but there are Instagram accounts for the Instagram models who are 100% AI, and they're raking in millions.
Go get. You don't need to have a storyline of you, on someone's bed or, or playing with little toys. Like, that's weird.
Welcome to the Dante Raw Podcast. I've got a powerhouse panel today, ready for an unfiltered and raw conversation about the adult industry. We have a lot of ground to cover, so let's dive right in and let me introduce my guests. Joining me are Juven, Sean Zevran.
What's up, everybody?
And Cody Seiya. How are we doing, everyone?
Great. How are you?
Good. I'm doing well. Thank you. So, guys, I just want to just dive right in here. So, can we talk about right at the start, what do you feel or think the state of adult work is currently, qualitatively?
A mess? No.
Well, someone said it. Someone had to say it.
When I say that, though, I'm very much comparing it to like the old industry. I've been in this shit for a minute. So there's definitely some pros and cons. And I'm sure we'll get into that, but I think overall a net positive. I'm echoing. Can you hear me?
Not on our end.
No?
I heard it.
You sound fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear you.
Doing good now.
All right. But yeah, so go ahead.
I was waiting for you. I mean, you said it's a mess. Was that how much truth to that was there for yourself?
Well, did you hear what I said some stuff after that, but no, I said I think overall it's a net positive. It's just very different from like the old industry that I was accustomed to before, OnlyFans kind of became, I guess, ubiquitous and more of a common thing where more people were producing their own content, which I think overall is good, but I keep hearing myself. I don't know why that is. Let me see if I can fix that.
No, that's good. I mean, we can jump to someone else.
Okay,
no, you're good. Yeah, you can go ahead. So, I mean, Juven, I think we talked about this a little bit ago when you made an appearance on the show. How long ago was it? A couple months ago. And we talked about that a little bit. I mean, just give me your perspective. You've also, been doing this for a respectable amount of time. Like, how has the industry changed from when you started till now? And do you think it's made some, positive or negative advancements, and does that culminate into a really qualitatively positive current state of affairs?
Well, I look at numbers. The most important thing for me are numbers. Sales are up. So, at the end of the day, That's what I care about. So for me, my experience is that, we've been filming a lot of content nonstop, and yeah, sales are up. So I'm grateful, but I kind of feel like you have to evolve with the industry.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of studios shutting down. They're getting eaten up and purchased by other studios. So then it changes the framework of the culture. And it's kind of like, it's kind of like if the creators are now in control, which is better for everyone, which I love, they kind of can rule and say what they want and not get so much pushback from studios who won't necessarily hire them anymore and say, oh, well, you're, kind of dated, Juven. We're not going to work with you anymore. And it's kind of like now they can't say anything because the creators are in control.
So true.
Yeah.
I mean, Cody, for yourself, I mean, I don't know too much about you, my friend, but I mean, give me your perspective on that.
Yeah, totally agree with both Sean and Juven. Yeah, it has its ups and downs. I feel like right now, personally, and like compared to like when I first started, which was during the pandemic, and like when OnlyFans was like really, on the incline, doing so much better. And now, yeah, I feel like, people don't have as much like disposable income. Also, so many other like arguably more important things are being populated on the timeline just because of the algorithm and what's going on politically. Yeah, so I think there's like a lot of factors that go into it. But yeah. In terms of studio, I feel like, yeah, studio is yeah, they really have to play by our terms, I guess.
So
Right.
just picking up right there. I mean, so the studio system obviously dominated and was the only avenue that any model, irrespective of their preference, would have to go through. Now that has fallen away by virtue of the advent of OnlyFans and other similar websites that have given, you could argue, power back to the models. Do you feel that pendulum swing to the creators themselves? What would you say has been the biggest positive, or just to kind of piggyback on what Sean was saying, net positive for that happening? And what would you say is the biggest net negative for that pendulum swing back to models creating their own stuff directly from them? Any one of you. Yeah, it's open to all of you.
It's what are you asking exactly? Say that one more time.
So, like, with the studio system being the only avenue for models, historically speaking, to have found and made money in the adult world, that pendulum swing now has gone to where the models are the ones creating the content from themselves. So that on its face seems like it's a positive thing, given that I'm sure we can wax poetic about how the studio system was, it was if you didn't go through them, best of luck to you, historically speaking. But that is no longer needed. And in fact, I think we've all seen where OF models and all that, they are being asked by studios, hey, can you work with us? Can you make content for us? And we'll buy your stuff, right?
Yeah.
So just walk me through what you guys feel about that, about the advent of OF now. What positive or negative things from that becoming such a burgeoning avenue for models now, as opposed to the old studio system?
I think it obviously gives a lot of power to the performers now, which is, like I said, it's overall a net positive. That's great. The studios, the benefit I think for the studios, there's predictability and a little bit more. So like if you had exclusive contract, you were guaranteed a certain amount of pay. You knew who you were going to film with. It was a little bit easier to hold people accountable. And I think that is the biggest difference today is it's difficult to hold content creators accountable. I'll give you an example. So one of my trips to LA, I probably booked like 10 collaborations. I was there for a week, which is a lot, but the thing is, about half of them actually showed up. And of those half that actually showed up were at the appointed place and time. And there's not really, obviously, when you're investing your own money and time and arranging all of that to get it set up, that becomes like increasingly frustrating. And if guys just don't want to show up, there's not much you can do about it. So I think that's probably my biggest frustration since the OnlyFans content, but I don't think that outweighs, overall the sort of power that the models have now in shaping their own image, working who they want to work with. They don't have to go through studios, which in the past have served as gatekeepers. And so it's pushed competition. You are pushed to constantly hustle to, you're like you mentioned, you're competing with the timeline on social media, and you've got about a solid 8 seconds to catch somebody's attention with whatever you're doing, with whatever's fed into their timeline. That's assuming you can manage to get it with, all the fuckery that's going on with everything else. So that's the challenge now, and it can be exhausting.
Sure. Is that a similar experience for you, Juven? You, Cody? What Sean just said?
Yeah, I totally agree. Also, your trip to LA described my previous trip to Miami, where it's 5 for 5.
Mm-hmm.
People just canceled. And like, to that,
wait. So 5 people, you had 5 things lined up and they all canceled on you.
Yeah.
Wow.
One guy was
my
like,
Lord.
I feel really sick. And then he like posted an Instagram story of him walking his dog along the beach. And I'm like, yeah, you're really on death's door.
So that reminds me of when I was living in, this wasn't one of my trips, but when I was living in LA and I had booked collaborations with some guys who were flying in who ghosted me. However, I guess they probably didn't care. I don't know what the deal was, but I'm seeing photos of them out the Abbey at the Abbey getting shit faced and all over West Hollywood, and then the next day that we were supposed to. I kind of assumed when I was seeing this the night before, I was like, oh, it's going to be one of those, huh? And then sure enough, like I heard nothing. So
damn, that sucks.
This is not uncommon, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Juven, you've been thoughts on that, or are you the canceller? Is that why you're being quiet here? I'm kidding. Go ahead.
No.
So Juven is one of the most reliable people in this industry.
Yeah, he absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I kind of feel like LA is like notoriously known for flakes. You know, I always do like the numbers, the percentage wise of all the models. And sometimes like J Magnus, he has like a cancellation rate of like what, 20%? So like 1 out of 5 cancels. And then for me, it's like me specifically, it's like super rare that someone cancels on me. I think because I have like a pretty good like setup. The way I do it is like, okay, like we're gonna film, you're gonna get paid, you're gonna get the content. Like, here you go. You're not paid for travel. I pay for, everything. But outside of that, it's like very rare that I have a cancellation. And if I do, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what do I do now? Like, but I always have backups just in case. Like, I always over schedule than anything. In worst case, I just got to jump in. Right?
Yeah.
Just have an orgy or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely agree. Just, I think we all are in agreement here. But, when I started up in the studio system, I completely agree that there was, you were held to a higher standard because it was certainly more like a job. You had to show up at a certain time. You had to be picked up at the airport if you were flying out at all. And, you had, paperwork was signed, ID, all that. And, and for the studios that were doing this, which I think not all of them were, and I think towards the end, or maybe now they're all doing it, but they were doing regular testing. And if models were being disorderly or not following the stated guardrails that were in place, they were told to leave, or they said, listen, thank you for your time, but we're going to send you right back to the airport. How do you hold models now, that because they're the ones creating stuff, how do you hold them accountable for things like this? Or do you just say, hey, listen, this is the way things are, you book for quantity, so that when you get the 2 or 3 or 5 in the case of Cody that cancel, you have 4 more lined up? Is that the only solvent to that issue?
That, and then also just like your name and reputation is truly all you have. And so, not to like talk shit or anything, but like if other models ask or recommend or ask for recommendations, whoever it is that flaked, like I would not recommend, or just straight up be like, hey, like, just so you know, like there isn't really a lot of professionalism going on with this person, so avoid. Yeah.
Okay.
You can say that. No, I don't think it really, because I think at the end of the day, it's a numbers game. So people really, and one of the things, I've never been in the habit of, I don't care really how much somebody's pissed me off in this industry. I've just, ever since day one, I've made it a point to not, I just really don't mention other people unless they've done something that's just seriously wrong. And even then, it's only kind of been like, hey, I don't, be careful with this person. And I've only done that probably like once or twice where it's been a serious concern, but there's not really much you can do to hold them accountable other than just say, hey, I'm not going to work with you anymore. And most of them, honestly, they don't care, because there's content creators are a dime a dozen. There's always someone looking to get, and that's fine. Like, you have to respect the hustle. Some people are in it, but like the thing is, you do have to be stern with people if you have a vision of how you want to do a particular brand. And so what I've found that's helpful is, like working with people like Juven, who's been outstanding. I think he and I just vibe on a certain level where, we like getting into mischief and having fun with it and just doing shit. So, we're on that same wavelength that makes it easier, but that's not the case with everybody. I don't think most people, content creators these days, have probably held down, the vast majority have never held down a real job or anything in their entire life. So you try to hold them accountable, especially in this generation. It's like, well, fuck you. Like, who cares? So, there's just a lack of overall decency and respect for people that this generation seems to lack. But then again, I sound like, I'm kind of like old and bitching about people. I kind of am, but like, yeah, go ahead.
No, you're good. I mean, I'll just add to that. that, I mean, I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm sure you guys have also, I mean, just since we're kind of sharing war stories here, can someone explain to me, for the love of God, or whatever you believe in, can you explain to me how models will hit you up? They'll hit you up. They'll be the one making first contact, right? This isn't like, hey man, want to film? And then nothing. This is them hitting you up. You exchange correspondence. You even maybe exchange some sort of contact information outside of the, initial platform, and then you'll talk, and then they'll completely ghost you when you're like setting something up, and then they'll unfollow you on the platform that they hit you up on. And I'm like, explain to me this phenomena. I mean, I know what it is. I'm not stupid. It's just they've done this to 20 other people. And they're like, these are the 5 that are really good. These are the big fish. He's a small guy, small for whatever they're justifying this decision making with. And it never fails to leave me in this state of like you wanna just like take that plane ride and just be like, show up with a bat, but then you're like, you know what? No, it's not worth it. It's just, again, the way things are. And I'll just sort of loop this off by saying this. And what sort of calms me down is, if adult film work did not exist, would I even know who they were? And to me, the answer is always
No.
no.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
So sorry, tangent done. But does that resonate with any of you? Is that you need to calm down, man, kind of thing? Give me your perspective on that, and then we'll move on to the next topic.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go first. It's all good.
You go.
Okay.
Juven, go ahead. Or Cody, go ahead.
Juven, you go ahead. It's all good.
So one thing I do notice, like, about like collabs and stuff, and whenever guys flake, whenever they try to set something up, whenever I'm in a different country, it gets like let's say Brazil. Brazil's very serious about their game, their collabs. Like, most of them are never late. They're very on time. There is other people who like don't take it as serious if they're like studio workers down there or escorts. It's totally different. But whenever someone hits me up and they want to film, I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna follow you, first of all. I'm gonna wait until after we film, and if it's a good film and I fuck with you, okay, bet, then I'll follow you. But outside of that, I try not to follow people that I don't know, I don't care for. If it's just business, and it's business. But if I have like a good, genuine, interaction with them, yeah, I'll follow them. But if I see like some shady shit or subtweeting or, whatever, if I just get any type of inclination, not you, Sean, but fucking with you, any other, like little like shit like that, I just like get turned off. Like, I'm just like, you know what? I want to have a easy flow on here. I don't care for all this other shit. I want to see dick, ass. I want to see you get sucked and fucked. Outside of that, I don't care.
Okay, Cody, I'm sorry. Please go ahead.
That's T. I mean, I'm the same, where it's like I won't follow unless like we have a rapport and like, we film together and the vibes are right. So get you on that. Also, I was going to say, you can tell when people have done studio versus only doing OnlyFans and content creation. Because like folks who have done studio are like very professional. They're on top of their STI testing, and also just like, yeah, they get it. Whereas folks who like solely do OnlyFans, I'm just like, it's a lot of work to be done.
So that's a good point. And I never thought about that angle of it before. That's true. So, guys, just parlaying this into the sort of the next topic. I think it's not wholly separate, but I want to talk about technology's impact on adult film work, and specifically, has technology itself made the industry more accessible or more exploitative, or is that not a framework that you even agree with?
I think it's made it more accessible. I think that's the biggest pro about technology and things like OnlyFans, and that's a good thing. It's always great everyone should have the opportunity to sexually express themselves if they're comfortable doing so, whether it's for money or otherwise. And so that's been the greatest thing, because it's sort of pushed the social conversation, I think, both in good and bad ways. I think we're sort of dealing with a weird political climate right now, where there's been we're on the defensive again in terms of internet freedom, and as well as just our community in general, gays and stuff. And so who knows where that's going to go? That, like I said, there's kind of You mentioned the pendulum earlier. I think there's a huge pendulum swing in sort of, I mean, look what's going on politically. I don't think I need to get into that, but so we have to sort of navigate this also very carefully, and I think strategically, because I honestly don't know how much, especially with the age verification laws being enacted and heavily in Europe, which they're jeopardizing everybody's cybersecurity, in which they kind of regulate themselves out of existence already. But you see that taking place here in the United States as well. Louisiana, I have to use a VPN. That's been that way for a while. I think we were the first ones to implement HVPN, but it's happening everywhere, and they're trying to conservatives. You can see what they're doing across this. This is not about. It's all allegedly in the name of fighting sex trafficking. It's not that. They're coming after us. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
First the sex industry, and then our community is getting.
Right. I definitely wanted to talk about that. I mean, since we're here, I mean, we will. There's a growing, as Sean was just saying, there's a growing number of states that are implementing laws that require websites hosting adult content to verify the age of their users. And this usually often takes the case of using government-issued IDs or commercially reasonable methods. So for the proponents of it, it's the primary goal of these laws is to prevent minors from accessing adult work, which is considered harmful. Critics of this law or laws that are, it's as Sean was saying, it's in several states. Louisiana, Texas, Virginia have passed laws requiring age verification for adult websites. Critics of these laws raise concerns about potential privacy violations. Users are required to share personal information with websites, and there are proponents saying that this violates free speech, as these laws restrict access to legal content. And there's obviously the issue of constitutionality of the laws being challenged in court that are in the local court system at the moment. So, and some of like big websites like Pornhub, they have responded to these now legal bindings in certain states by pulling out of the state entirely, by saying we will no longer operate our website in your state. That will be our response to that. That's a lot to throw at you guys, but tell me what you're, see for that goal. Do you feel like that is a good start, or do you feel like it's a good idea that's being implemented, and not in the best way? And just walk me through what your perspective is on that.
Juven, you and I kind of talked about this when we were in Houston. And I think you probably have more insight in that and how that's like, because you've done a lot of stuff through Pornhub, right? So
yeah. So as of right now, we've done blocked out Texas, total blackout. The one
your websites, Juven. Sorry, just for clarity. Okay.
All of my websites.
Okay.
They're all blocked out in Texas. And the thing about that is that the law is written so it can bankrupt these adult industry, websites. Like that's what they want, right? They want to get rid of it. It's obscene. Just like right now, they're trying to pass a new obscene law. They took it, I think, in the Senate. It's in committee right now, and they're trying to pass it. So if that goes through, that's going to be a federal age verification, legit law, not just, what the Supreme Court did. The Supreme Court kicked it back to the states. So each state is able to sit there and do what they want. But now they're trying to do a federal ban. For me working in this industry, I mean, Texas, it's a lot of people, but, people can do VPNs, do whatever they want. But it's kind of like the state of Texas wants me to get every single person that comes to my website, get their ID, store it safely, make sure that I don't get hacked, make sure that it doesn't get leaked anywhere, keep a profile of them. So then that's going to take up server space. So then I have to control all of that data for what? I don't care who's visiting my websites. I want to protect the customer, and I don't care. I just want your money. That's it. We want to provide a service, and I want to make money, but it's also I don't care who's coming or who's going. I just want to make sure that you bust your nut and have a good time and come back.
Hell yeah.
Cody, I'd like to hear what you have to say about this. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know all the inner workings, but I know it's not great. Yeah. All I was going to say was donate to the Free Speech Coalition. Also check them out just because they are working with us. And it's all about protecting adult entertainment and content. Yeah. On the internet. So.
Okay. If you guys will permit me to play the devil's advocate here.
Sure.
Isn't the implementation of making sure that people that are viewing the content that are of age, isn't that a good thing?
I don't give a fuck about them.
That's honest.
Because how about parents manage their children? Like I don't care. I don't have children, so I don't have a dog in this fight. But it's not my responsibility. Like safety is a concern, but the way that it's being implemented, like Juven pointed out, like he has to like if you have to manage all of that data personally, that is an entire IT department in and of itself that have to be security minded 24/7. The only people who have that sort of infrastructure are the major companies. So in one way, this kind of works in their favor, but they're coming after them too. But you see it every day, a new data breach. And so you have to look at it also from the perspective that if the government has your data, any entity that has your data within the government, whether it's a contractor or the government itself, if they can get it, somebody else can get it. It's usually just a matter of time because this stuff is not very well guarded. And our government, I don't know if you've paid attention to when they go up to bat with tech people, sometimes they don't know what the fuck they're talking about most of the time. And so the government's always 2, 3, sometimes 4 steps behind. You cannot trust all of mandating ID verification for all these businesses to be collecting that. That is a risk in and of itself that is probably a greater safety risk by far than somebody's kids accidentally seeing pornography. And so when you want to weigh that, like this is just a stupid way to manage this altogether. I have strong feelings about it.
No, and that's great. I mean, just to sort of, add my thing to there. I mean, I think we all can be like, I mean, on paper, be like, yeah, the implementation of protecting children so they don't see something that they would consider to be inappropriate. I think we all can sign off on, but I guess as where I think we're all in agreement.
Theoretically, yes.
Yes, theoretically, of course. If that was the optimal and only reason why it was, there, I think anyone would be in agreement for that. But then, given the political machine as such as it is currently, the implementation seems to have this insidious underpinnings to it that the collection of this data and wanting to curate and then hold this information, which they say they're not going to be utilizing. It's just going to be just to have, and then it's not going to be viewed for any reason. I think for most people, they're reticent to want to do that given how we're seeing people being put on lists and they're making these sort of ledgers of like, well, these people view this, these people view that. No one trusts the government, especially now. So I would say, no one can possibly rule out the idea, which, and I think people are right to say that their information is not going to be kept somewhere and then viewed later for some insidious reason. Is that a fair observation, gentlemen?
Yeah, 100%. I think that that's what they're doing. They're trying to create a list. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but it's kind of like, why would you want to know all this information? First of all, why would you have to report it back to the state? Why would the state care? Like, no one cares. Yeah, there should be some sort of, guardrails for protecting children from watching pornography. But it's also like the parents are not doing their job as a parent. Why is it like kind of like what Sean said? Why is it my responsibility to take care of your kid? It's not. I don't know who this person is. I don't care. But it's also like I'm doing something that's adult for adults.
For adults.
I'm not doing it for shits and giggles. No, this is a lifestyle and this is my life and I'm grateful for it, but it's also not someone's business in Washington who's probably on Grinder, like taking loads themselves. Yep. Like, I don't need government in my life. It's kind of weird that the Republicans are now mostly like in that realm of Big Brother. It's kind of like Orwellian to think of that, like 1984, that book. It's weird and it's not fun and it's a lot of work and, I can't afford to hire a whole IT department, to keep all these people's information. There's no way, no how that I could.
And to keep it safe, as Sean was suggesting, I mean, the protection of that information, which is very sensitive, can just be yet another data mine thing for scammers and for people that hacked that kind of thing and use that information for financial gain of some kind, or they sell it to another institution for.
One thing I'm going to say, X Videos or Sheer, the same company, they are coming out with a new age verification app or software that should be, I think, done within like a month or so. So that that is a little glimmer of hope. But I'm not too sure if they're going to be able to do that for every single user, and if so, where are they going to have all that information at? I mean, it's a European company, so I'm sure that
God.
like big losses right now, you know, especially with all the age verification stuff over there and here as well. So I'm not sure.
The EU is the most obnoxious when it comes to trying to regulate anything, but especially
Right.
technology. The UK in particular. I mean, we live in an age of surveillance capitalism, so it's not even that necessarily that they're trying to directly construct a data bit, which they are if you look into companies like Palantir and things like that. But one of the big issues is just, for example, YouTube has rolled out an AI. Another thing to consider is these companies are already light years ahead of the general public, especially YouTube rolled out not only just you submitting an ID to, and this isn't porn, this is YouTube. The thing is, their AI looks at your face essentially to determine whether you're of age to view certain content. Well, that opens a whole other Pandora's box of surveillance capitalism that is used to. Google's already notorious for getting creepy amounts of data on you. And of course, it's not necessarily to spy on you individually, but it's to sell to other people to. There's a whole entire black market essentially of data just being traded and purchased by companies. You're not the customer, you're the product. Your data is being sold so that they can predict the sort of products you want before you do. And also, when you sort of implement this sort of internet-wide, airlines have AIs now that adjust prices based on what they think you can pay rather than that's another thing. And so we're getting into some very creepy, dangerous Orwellian territory here. So no company is going to be able to protect itself without an entire cybersecurity department. This just makes it harder for creators to exist in this sort of world that we're creating.
Isn't the future fun?
Say again?
That isn't the future fun.
Oh, no, future fun. There's certainly a lot of, yeah.
This is so fun.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So I mean, I guess so. Just in summation for this particular topic, I mean, so I think we're all again, and you guys tell me that again, the implementation of an 18 plus parameter for adult content, if that were the sole reason, and there were ethical, technological guardrails in place that provided safety for the person submitting the content or that information so that their information was not going to be used for any sort of duplicitous reason, that optimally I think would be the best case scenario. But I think again, this poses as you guys all I think all argued that it should be left up to the parents because they have parental controls and so many different devices that have been the case for some time now. And if this content is potentially being viewed by them, it is up to the parents and their responsibility to make sure that their children, whether it be on a smartphone, a tablet, or whatever, they have a responsibility to make sure that their child is not viewing that content and to then make sure that they're the safety net from that happening. Is that a fair qualifier for everything that we just said? Because I don't want to make sure I don't want to put any words in any of your mouths.
Not unsympathetic to parenting in this sort of technological environment, but I think one of the responsibilities of bringing a child into this sort of technological age is you have a responsibility to know, at least at a surface level, how this stuff functions so that you can take measures to protect your own child. And they're not doing that. They think the government should do it because whatever.
Right. And I mean, what's interesting is like, I think for most people, they just go to X to view this content, which is free anyway. They're not going to be going to a website that's like, hey, the jury's still out if that'll be done on X, but
Mississippi just passed a law where they're not allowing children on social media now unless they're above 16, 18.
Okay,
So
that sounds great.
That. Yeah, well, it doesn't ever stop there, so it's great in theory, like all this
Right.
stuff.
Like, in theory, yeah, but
okay. So it's sort of parlaying in sort of a through the looking glass part of the next topic is it's very similar to what we're discussing. It's about age, and it's it's Juven and I again talked about this, and it's something that still permeates the adult industry, and probably for the foreseeable future it will, unless that I think has to do a large amount of the heavy lifting has to be from the adult creators themselves. But can we talk about the barely legal side of porn? And this is irrespective of preference. I'm talking, it doesn't matter if it's gay, straight, bisexual. But so this just as it relates to the idea of, again, curating an audience based on the idea that these people are just the day they turned 18 on offer. And what does the barely legal category say about audience tastes and culture's attitudes towards youth and sexuality? Juggle that one.
Not a fan of it. I don't know. I just feel like it's, again, society just like, yeah, just kind of glorifying youth. And I don't know. I just feel like gay, straight, whatever, we get a lot of our like sex education and like conditioning from watching porn. And I feel like by people continually putting that out, it just kind of, people just like are conditioned and they're like, oh yeah, it's okay. Like they're, I don't know. I just find it harmful.
Do you think that the responsibility to change that lies with studios, creators themselves to say, hey, listen, we need to sort of, we need to grow up, as, to use a phrase?
Yeah. I don't know.
I mean, what exactly is the concern? Like, what are we? Is it the sort of image of, because if they're 18, people of a legal age, they're an adult. They can handle themselves and sign the dotted line. I don't know. And now if the concern is like some of these studios that try to deliberately, I see this, I think, heavily more on the straight side than I do ours, to portray them like significantly underage, maybe that's an ethical issue that should be sort of talked about. That maybe, is that what sort of?
Yeah, that's what I'm addressing. Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what I was thinking too.
I mean, I think this is a responsibility that falls on the consumer. I think if you're the producer of that kind of material, that's something you kind of have to just sit with yourself. If everybody is within that is consensual, I don't really think, while I might not agree with it, I don't think it's the government or anybody's to be like, you can't do that. Because if everybody involved is consenting adults. Now, that's not my cup of tea. Like, I don't, like, kind of like Cody said, like, that's not really, but I don't think it's something that should be, it's not, if the other people in the industry want to do, that's on them. As long as, like, everybody's of age and consenting, I don't care what other people are doing. That's on them. And I don't think the government should be like, provided that everybody's of age and consenting to whatever's going on. I mean, that's just really where you have to leave it, because you can get into all sorts of slippery slopes about, it doesn't even have to be just the of age issue. That can be anything. Like me being a cum dump in a hotel. Well, that's not very moral. It's not very upstanding citizen of you. I don't give a fuck. Like, everybody here is consenting. Like, so you can't really, I don't know. That's just me anyway.
No, it's valid.
Yeah, I guess the moral and ethical criticisms lie solely in the idea that they're creating content that is portraying these performers as less than 18 to foster and to satisfy the cravings of an audience that are yearning for that. And this obviously draws the ire, I think, of a lot of people, for the simple fact that it advocates, whether they realize it or not, I would argue, for the continued criticism and the assigning that, especially in the gay community, that gay men are pedophiles and that they have this grooming quality to them that is often levied as a criticism and as a way to continuously make the gay community on the ropes about saying, hey, listen, you guys do this. And it's not even a fair criticism, because as we see, it's porn wide. But I would say, especially in the gay porn industry, they have even more of a responsibility, because, again, how many times have we seen, every time a PDF file is brought up on charges or their crimes are laid bare for the public to see, and if the person happens to be gay or they claim that they're homosexual, everyone collectively is like, see, told you.
Yes.
I mean, I would just say, if I can get on a soapbox a little bit, people, no one, I think, I mean, obviously, for the people that are going to be like, hey, porn, no matter what is being conveyed, is inappropriate, it's gross, I don't want to see it. Those people cannot be reached because it's just not for them, and they don't want to view that, and that's completely up to them. But I think all of us maybe at the very least should be having a conversation that this kind of like, the girls wearing the really like, oh, I just finished school, and how many websites have we seen just in the gay industry where it's like, all right, these are high school kids. It's like with the teacher, can we stop doing that?
Or the uncle.
I mean,
weird that shit. But yeah.
Anyway, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, are we all thinking about the same person right now?
I mean, I'm sure that's become up.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's directly, but I'll let somebody else speak before I say anything else.
I'm just gonna say this. So with Visa and MasterCard, like running, websites and stuff is very hard. Like they have new rules now that don't allow incestual storylines. The uncle, the stepfather, whatever. They don't allow that anymore. So you're going to stop seeing a lot of that. Personally, I don't film any of that. And anytime a model has an idea of doing, hey, I want to do, I'm like, no, I'm not doing that.
thank God.
Even on my websites, like, I don't approve of it. And I have the last word of everything. Like, there's no way in hell I'm going to get some guy to get his load off on that type of content. Like, I'm just not into it. I don't think it's hot. I get the point. Like, some twinks are 18. Okay, cool, whatever. Go get fucked. You don't need to have a storyline of you, on someone's bed or, or playing with little toys. Like, that's fucking weird.
It is.
And if the studios don't take a hold of, they're going to do what the consumer wants. They're going to do what gets them sales. Like it's a numbers game. So if they're making a lot of money off of this, there's a reason why, so the consumers also have to take, control of that as well. But if I don't produce it, people don't come to my website. Hey, that's okay. I can sleep better at night. I don't make money and I don't care. So
sure. I mean, yeah. And one could make the case that, if let's say the studios were to say, listen, we're not doing that, it'd be unilaterally across the board. None of the studios that whatever audience they cater to, we're not doing that kind of thing anymore. One can make the case, well, now it's just going to go underground, and the people that are going to want to find that, it's just going to drive up the black market for underage content. So again, I think some progress has to be made. It's never going to be like this 100% like, hey, listen, problem solved, never will happen again. You're always going to have people that are going to want to, for whatever reason, are going to want to seek out this content, and they're going to, it's going to create this, at the very least, let's say the models are of age, which hopefully anyone that's doing something like that is. Again, I think it's just a really ugly side of this business that everyone kind of likes to tap dance around because it is uncomfortable to talk about, because it really borders, and the intersectionality of it borders on people's moral compass and the ethical applications of it, and also just personal taste. And for me, I'm only speaking for myself here. I just think it's high time that we just sunset that, because for the Austin Wolves of the world that have made it, I'm going to say his name, who have made a career out of doing that. I'm not saying exclusively, but have done that. And then they've done so much damage to the industry that gave them so much. And I'm not saying that he was doing stuff with, underage people. So there's also that. But this race to the bottom that starts there, I think there has to be lines drawn on the sand. And I think that's one of them. And that, well, again, so that's just my opinion on that. So
one thing I like that Cody said earlier is that, like, if you have friends in the industry, they're going to tell you, like, hey, don't work with him. Don't do this. Don't do that. So I kind of feel like that's kind of like a good way to gauge someone. Also, go look at their content. Go look at what type of stuff they film. Right. Because anytime I look at a collab, I'm like, let me see, what they're about. Let me go look. Let me see if they're about that life. Let me see if they can take, 50 loads in the back of a van, if I think they can, if they've never done a pump and dump.
I can.
Then I most
Why isn't this bitch showing up?
I most likely won't hire them or, work with them. If I'm doing a one-on-one scene, okay, that's different. But you have to, it's kind of like the content creator. They also have to do their research as well so that they don't get that pushback and backlash being attached to one person. Now, I get if you're new and you're just starting off, that's fine, whatever. Mistakes happen. But if you continually go and work with people who have bad reputation, and I personally go directly to the creator sometimes and ask them, hey, before we work together, what about XYZ? Like, tell me what the T is, like, before I invest in you. Like,
Mhm.
and people see that as kind of like tacky, but I don't give a
You're
fuck.
protecting your brand.
Right.
Yeah.
You have a responsibility to make sure you're not going to, that whatever they're doing is not going to come down on you.
Right. So it's kind of like at the end of the day, the buck stops with me, and I'm the one that's gonna like, okay, let me think about what happened. Let me think about what they told me. Should I believe them? Should I not? Okay, cool. Then that's whenever I make my decision. But yeah.
Okay,
I
so
don't-
sorry, Pep.
I was going to say, I don't have a lot of like sympathy toward the whole, it's going to drive things in the black market. That's true. You could unravel the entire legal system by making that argument, by saying, because by that rationale, we should just never have laws because everything's going to be, people are going to do it. I'm not like, I get like a lot of that stems from like prohibition of alcohol back in like way back when. But I don't think that's an argument. I think it could really simply just be like, okay, as far as the government's reach is concerned, is everybody consensually of age partaking in this? Okay, that's where they should stop. We as a community, as I think everybody's pretty much in agreement here on that, is like, you've got a responsibility to, some people are, I think the thing with like the whole social media environment is I've noticed that these algorithms push everything to the extreme. So I don't think you're going to stop people from doing it. I think you just have to decide what responsibility Big Brother has in regulating that. You could all argue that gays have a responsibility to do this because of X, Y, and Z. I can tell you right now, they're not going to fucking do it. Responsibility, and you get any group of people together. So I think the whole thing with me is like, as much as I frown on that, I think rightfully so for all of the examples that we've listed. But I don't think people should come out and be like, we need a law against, because then you do get into I think a dangerous slippery slope where it's like, because I can tell you right now, the people who are pointing this out every single incident that are look, see, there's some gays being like that again. They're the ones driving this anyway. If it's not going to be that example, they're going to find another one because it's not that. I mean, they have a problem with that too, sure. But that's their tool for like attacking gays as our existence in general, whether it, and so, because I can go through, and we all know this, there's way more examples of straight, and I don't just mean because they're a larger number. Like, you can go in porn, and that's like probably I think it's like the majority of straight porn just turned 18. Like, that was like their whole thing for like ever. And all of a sudden, and then it's like, okay, like they're talking out both sides of their mouth. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. I would just add to that because of that reason, that yes, there's going to be people out there that they're going to use any example and weaponize it to say, hey, listen, see, there we go. This is why we need X, Y, and Z. That is why, for me, we have more of a responsibility than as progenitors and creators in this industry to say, hey, listen, I'm not doing that. I don't like anyone else who does. And and I don't work with people that do that, because for me, it starts with us. Because the audience is only going to intake that content so much as we produce it. And yes, people are like, well, it gets good reaction, it gets good engagement. At some point, I think you have to draw an ethical line in the sand and be like, listen, as much as that might have a financial incentive for me, I'm not going to do that. I think we all can. I think we all can say there are things that we would do in life that we know would make us money, but we don't do them because they're morally repugnant to us, right?
Right, but I think that's what you have to do as an individual, because I can tell you right now, if you're doing it for the sake of optics, because let me tell you something. Black people have been trying to be model citizens for I don't know how long. It doesn't matter what. They're always going to point to the one example. You're not going to win with these people. That's what I'm saying. Should you endorse the behavior? Not at all. But like, these people hate us no matter what, and that's why we're having to navigate the loops. So if you do it, refrain from it, as you should. Do that for moral, personal reasons. But if the argument is that should be regulated or something, I don't think I think that's the territory we should avoid.
Fair
we
enough.
have laws on the books for that. And I think in terms of regulating our industry, is everybody 18? Is everybody of consent? It may sound like I'm defending. I'm not, but I just think.
Yeah, I don't think you are.
Yeah.
I don't think you are. Guys, I do want to move on to something that's just completely a lateral thing here. Can we talk about race domination? I think another part of our another part of our industry that we're seeing now in this sort of, again, to use a phrase, this race to the bottom, and who can create the most, morally reprehensible, racially insulting, just outright racist content, and then just opining it with this justification of saying, guys, I'm just making money here. Can we talk about that? And feel free to mention names. No, I'm kidding. You guys can go right ahead.
My opinion's the same on this as it was the last issue.
Juven will not touch this with a 10-foot. Oh, no,
I will. I mean, I'll name some names.
No. Let's start with you, Juven. Go ahead.
All right. So
I'm curious.
My thing is, look, people are going to do what they want, right? And if there's a huge market, yeah, they're able to do that. There's been someone recently that did this and went very viral. I've seen the numbers. They made like 1.3 million in like 4 days. So that's crazy. But people buy into that. So
I need to reconsider.
So why would he stop, or why would they stop doing that now? Because, the payment processors don't really care anymore if you have crypto. Visa, MasterCard, PayPal will not touch it. But if you have crypto, there's different payment processors that have like their database in Cyprus or, these off countries that no one ever hears about, like the offshore accounts and stuff. So they don't care that they'll do anything, and it's kind of scary. But I definitely do see the views. I do see the numbers. We have discussed it with my team, should we start doing this? But for me, it's not for me. And I'm not for that. I'm more about empowering people, in their skin and who they are.
Ain't much more empowering than $1.4 million. No, I'm just kidding.
I know, right?
I know. I'm kidding on that, but like,
it just, for me, like, I get it. I get the point, but it's not for me or something that I would film or want to go down that road, because it gets, like what Sean said, it's a slippery slope, and then race to the bottom. What can we do?
I'm curious who you're talking. I'm not going to ask
Yeah,
the names that do that, but I wasn't. You said it went viral. I'm not. I must be out of the loop on this one.
Yeah, I
am
missed
with
that
so many
one.
things lately.
That's okay.
Well, I'll tell you after
Yeah,
we
it's
stop recording.
without mentioning names, it was just for the uninitiated, for people that are watching this, after we film this. Yeah, it was just I'm referring to specifically, not that this is the only instance. I'm referring to
Definitely
specifically models. Models, and I think they also do studio work, that were on and were just using the N-word liberally and saying, hey, all that, and just saying, hey, listen, this is race, it's race domination, this is role play. And they're, they use and weaponize racial epithets that are only and ever used, especially in that context, to be an insult, but then financially using it as a way to say, hey, listen, I can make a lot of money doing this, and it's working. And so there's that element, and there's also the element that we were just discussing with the barely legal part. There's actually a surprising number of Black and other minorities that are responding to this positively, that are engaging with it in a positive way. Now, there are just as many, if not more, that are saying that are denigrating it, and I would say rightfully so. But there's a lot of baggage around this, that, to say the least, and that's specifically what I was referring to. So, Cody, I haven't heard from you in a while. I mean, I don't mean to throw you into a really, I would say, caustic topic, but walk me through what your takeaways is from models engaging in that behavior.
Yeah, I mean, I find that really deplorable. And like, for me personally, I just think like the racial stereotyping and like sexualizing race is so tired. And that's like kind of what I actively try to work against with my content, at least, where it's like, okay, yes, I am Asian. Doesn't mean I'm going to be submissive or solely a bottom, And so like with that, I've also found that I've been able to like empower other Asian folks and like people of color, that we're not just a race when it comes to our sexuality and sexual expression. And so, yeah, I just find that to be very, I don't know, just lame. Like, what? Yeah, I don't know. That's where I'm at with that. So,
Okay. Sean, anything you want to add?
I think my biggest experience with this was so when I was escorting actively, I have quite a few clients who have requested that I engage in that. Not I've never entertained it personally because I don't think I could really get into that for obvious reasons. But my stance on that is ultimately the same as it was on the other. You know, are they of age and who's consenting? That doesn't mean I'm going to do it, but I don't. I am more on the side of, I have a very libertarian stance on this. Not that I am a libertarian, but like, it's just everybody's of age and consensual. I'll let them do what the fuck they want to do. And if they're making $1.4 million on it, all power to them.
Okay. And yeah, just to be clear, the people that engage in this behavior, the people that create it, the people that are viewing it, they have every right. You can be as racist as you want. It's protected by your free speech, by the First Amendment. You have every right to be as racist as you want and to not like a group of people based on their racial identity or any other identity. You have every right to do that. Doesn't mean people have to agree with it, like it, or not have an opinion about it. And I think to financially gain on that and to, again, just engage in sort of a capitalistic race play, to me is so antithetical to my, and I think most people's moral compass and to their intellectual acuity, that I think I would rather be middle class and making the money that I make in the ways that I make it ethically than say, hey, listen, look what I did. I just made $2 million by calling a bunch of people, insert, racial slur here. To me, I would never want to cross that line for so many reasons, as I mentioned. And for the people that do and see no issue with it, I have no issue saying that I never want to have a discourse with you. I'm not interested in what you have to say. Because how do you justify that? Besides the financial incentive, which Sean pointed out, how do you justify that?
I think if you're a person who's come from nothing their entire life and you see $1.4 million, I don't think you're going to give a fuck what other people think. And I think that's a fully justifiable explanation if you're looking at this for a selfish avenue for motivation. Because I can tell you what, you can, not this should ever dissuade you from trying to do the right thing, but even when I've tried to speak up on this issue, I got nothing but punishment from this entire industry. So if you go back and tell me, would you still speak up or would you choose the $1.4 million? Again, I've never engaged in race play, but I can tell you what, a pat on the back doesn't pay your fucking bills. So I know what the motivation is. And a lot of these people in this industry, they'll criticize you in a heartbeat. They'll try to praise you when they think it's beneficial to them, but they don't give a fuck. The vast majority of people don't give a fuck. So if you can try to do the right thing. And one thing I learned, especially during COVID, to the point of driving me to the point that I almost lost my fucking mind over this shit, when I had to take a break from the industry because I was trying to do the right thing and got nothing but shit for it. Sometimes that's just the way it is. So I can very easily understand why somebody would do that, especially if you've come your whole life from nothing and you want to accumulate something, because you have more power to elevate people when you have $1.4 million than you do just with a simple pat on the back. So I get both sides of this, but I don't, I've never been comfortable in that sort of environment, so I've never done it. But I wouldn't go so far as to, I'd say it makes me uncomfortable, but to criticize it, I don't know. Let them do what the fuck they want to do. At this point, like, I don't care. Like, the greater good, okay.
Okay, fair enough. Juve, you want to add anything before we move on? No. Okay. Guys, I do want to talk about it because I want to talk about this, as this has been something that's been another big part of just the social media landscape and with content creators themselves. Do you guys have, what is your takeaway on people, gay baiters? These are content creators that curate content, not identifying with the community that they're financially gaining from, and walk me through what your perspective is on that issue. Let's start with Cody.
I just find it so exploitative of like of the audiences. And also I just like, Man, I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. I feel like they're taking away from, oh no, did I just kill my webcam? Hi. Okay, still here. What's up?
I still see you, beautiful.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they're also taking away from like the actual queer content creators. And maybe that's just me being a little jealous of the money that they're making. But also to go back to the community.
How should they give back to the community? Charitable donations.
That would be so nice. Donate to the Free Speech Coalition or just subscribe to like actual queer creators. But that's me being like really
Maybe queer creators
wishful.
should make better content. And there's some people that specifically, again, I'm a little bit free market on this. Like, if they're out competing you, that's not their problem. I respect the hustle. And if they're willing to get in front of a camera and suck some dick because they're straight or whatever, and you have to keep in mind, there are a significant number of gay people who specifically like paying for that. I don't, but like, I get it. They don't take away from the, I hate that argument. I'm not criticizing you, but like, I don't think like if they're out and there are a lot of straight creators who are better than me at this job and I'm gay, all power to them. Like that's that, like if they can hustle like that and they can get down like that and they can convince their audience because at the end of the day, for me, it's about portraying a fantasy. There are a lot of gay guys that pretend to be straight for money. I don't agree with the argument that it takes away anything from the community. I think the people that get mad about that they're just mad. Let them stay mad.
Okay.
I went kind of viral, I think, last time with you, Dante, on this. I hate them. I hate them all. Well, I hate that they have this platform. I hate that they are taking away from gay creators. I hate just all of it. I hate the fantasy of, oh, I'm a straight guy. Da 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 da. Bitch, no, you're not. You're not straight if you suck dick. You're not straight if you've taken dick up your ass. You know, in my world. And one thing
Right.
it is whenever the straight guys, they go pay for their girlfriend's condo or her nails, this, that. I'm like, bro, that could have went to like legit hardworking gay creators that actually give their all instead of living up to a fantasy that doesn't even exist. Because what happens if I fall in love with a straight creator and I see them out and they're like, "Oh, get away from me, you fag." I would sock them
Mhm.
like that's what I would do. You know, most
And
won't.
in fact, if I could interject, there was a guy that just I'm gonna blank on his name, but I wouldn't mention it if I did remember. He curates his content for a large gay audience,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he used it's like, oh, I can't stand them, you know, f words. I can't stand the God. I get blah blah blah.
Right.
I can't stand them. And then doubled down when the video went viral and just said, well, I meant everything I said, but hey, follow me and give me money. It's just a yeah. So sorry, Juven, go ahead, please. Yeah,
Yeah,
just,
so
there's just an example.
so that guy, he actually posted his like receipts of how much he made. And I think it's like 2 million now. And it's crazy. Like he does all these fake fucking scenes. And for me, I take my job serious, like, you know, and it's just kind of annoying. Like, ugh, fuck. Okay. Well, that's not my market. I don't really care for that. But, you know, if they're going to make money, good for them. I just don't like it. I don't like that they're taking, you know, our gay dollars and giving them to straight people because straight people don't really care for us as much as we care for them. So what does it matter? Keep it within the community. Use purple dollars, gay dollars the way that you prefer. I would prefer you come check out some good creators that we have on our website or people on this podcast right now, you know, rather than some guy who's going to fake it till he makes it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, just to add my own voice to this, I mean, my criticisms of it, I think were, I mean, maybe not the best articulated when I was talking with Juvenile about it last time we spoke, but yeah, I mean, I'll just say, you know, that again, I have no issue with someone making money. I have no issue with someone making money in you know, that is with an industry or a community that they don't themselves personally identify with. I think that's a real slippery slope to say, hey, listen, only gay actors should play gay roles. Only
Right.
straight. I mean, that to me is, you know, a ridiculous thing to want and to qualify. So I'm not a fan of that. All I would be arguing for is that if you're going to be fostering and curating content towards towards a group of people, rather towards a population that is overwhelmingly supporting you, and you don't identify with that, I think you have more of a responsibility to give back to that and to say, hey, listen, although I don't personally identify with you, I'm doing X, Y, and Z. And to me, that would go a long way. And if they choose not to, hey, they choose not to. I don't think there should be any legal precedent to say they have to. But it doesn't mean that I can't and others can have an opinion on that. Also, specifically, there are content creators that will, they'll make content that'll be implied that it's gay, but they won't actually, when the content is viewed, it actually won't be of anything of substantive nature. That would be, it's just like, oh, we did a peck on the cheek, oh. So, and that's all it is. Then they'll go on, their podcast or whatever, and they'll wax poetic about, yeah, it's just blah blah blah, this, that, and the other, as if they're a part of a community. They're not a part of it. They're
Right.
fleecing money off of a community, and they give nothing back, and they don't even realize the damage that they're doing. But I have to say, my criticism lies heavily, if not majority of my criticism, is with the community itself. The gay community are the ones that are like, oh my God, these straight guys, shit, damn it, so good. They're creating the very monster they have to slay. It's them, in my estimation. Thoughts on that? Thoughts on that? Go ahead, Sean. Yep.
Why is that an issue for them to? I mean, I don't think just because I'm gay, I'm obligated to spend my money on gay people.
No one's saying that.
Okay.
I'm just saying that for the people that are making that content now, they have a right to give back. And for the people that are viewing that, you can't then criticize that the community is being severely diminished by the influx of creators that are not themselves gay, and
Mhm.
they dominate. They absolutely dominate OnlyFans. They dominate it. And for the outliers, like the outliers, like Juven, like you should, like all of you. Yes, you guys are outliers. You guys are exceptions to the rule. But the vast majority of people, they can't crack that because they're not straight, and they don't have this whole like, hey, I shouldn't be doing this. It's this forbidden fruit thing. Like the case of the Island Boys. Remember the Island Boys? They were
What is
like,
that?
hey, shit wasn't working. Hey, we're incestual now. And it's gay incest. Oh my Lord. And then, of course it was just this. I mean, again, I don't know what they're, hopefully they found themselves.
I think
But
Did they
one
get
of
voted off
Hopefully
the
they found
island? I
Jesus.
hope.
Yeah.
again, they can do whatever they want.
I
All
don't
I'm
know who these
saying
people
is
are.
all I'm saying is that I feel like it's an always evergreen population that will give money to that. And I just think that it's unfortunate that people that are not part of that community personally are making the most from it. And that's a real shame.
One thing I do want to add is that whenever guys are straight, gay baiters, whatever, I'd rather them just come and say, hey, I'm a straight guy. I want your gay dollars. Keep it real from the jump. Like, don't sit there and try to breadcrumb. And I just hate this. I just hate that. Like, just keep it real. Like, I'm going to say the pop girlies like Madonna, Lady Gaga, they're straight, but they're allies, right? They always support gay rights. Rihanna, Beyonce, all them, they love, the gays. But it's also, okay, the gays are a small population. The straight people are going to buy more records. Let's make something for everyone that everyone can enjoy, but we are straight. Go gay rights. Woohoo! Like, that's what I would prefer. I just don't like whenever I see these guys out on WeHo and they're doing interviews,
They're
like,
also women.
a lot of women too, yeah. These guys out there in WeHo, like doing interviews. I'm like, bro, you're just like exploiting our community. And you're just like, what if someone doesn't want to be filmed? Like in their public space, what if they're like not out to their family? Yeah, it's kind of like outdated, but hey, there's a huge Middle Eastern community here in Los Angeles,
Girl, I know.
and a lot of them are closeted. So it's kind of like, they really don't care what they're doing. They just want the views on Instagram Reels. They want the views on their OnlyFans, on X. They don't care. So it kind of like, that's what gets me irritated. But hey, do what you got to do, baby, but don't come around me. That's it.
Yeah, yeah. It almost comes across like a safari when I see like people doing that. They're like in the gay areas and they're just like doing interviews or they're doing content. It's just like, hey, we found a wild zebra. Let's interview them. It's like, you're here because you're taking
Catch
advantage
him in
of
the
the
Pokeball.
there you go.
Catch him all.
You're taking advantage of the welcoming atmosphere that community tends to offer.
Does it?
And I'm not saying there aren't moments. I'm not saying there aren't huge blind spots. I'm not saying there are not huge blind spots, Sean. All I'm saying is that these people are taking advantage of that welcoming atmosphere. And I do agree with Juven that I don't, although there could be some exceptions, I don't think these people are setting out by saying, how can I make money up? I think they're not thinking that far, but that doesn't give them a pass. They still have a responsibility, whether they like to admit it or not.
I absolutely do think some of them are thinking that way. But again,
Okay.
you know, I just kind of, I don't know. It doesn't, I don't know. I think I'm in the minority in probably when it comes to like the majority of the industry here, but like it just doesn't bother me. I don't know. And I think the reason I say this is, again, it's not a defense of them. I could give two fucks less what they do. I think for me, it's just when you start introducing like the complexity of sexuality and when you start trying to parse people, is he gay? Is he not? And trying to sort people in this. And because you can take that dynamic beyond just gay, straight, and you can really look at, well, is this person really this genre? Like, the sexuality is just so complex that I think when you get into that, it's just kind of not really, I don't think we do ourselves any favor by trying to put some sort of borderline of what people are allowed to do and explore themselves. And maybe, I don't know, some people get into this because that's their only lifeline. And if they want to do that, I don't know. I have trouble feeling as strongly about this issue as a lot of other people do. And I realize that like my position is not a popular one within the industry or community, but that's just kind of how I was a little bit more like that when I first got into it. But as I've gone on, I'm just kind of like live and let live. Like, it's not my cup. But again, all of these things that we've mentioned, I don't get into, like, but that's, it's just kind of like out of sight, out of mind for me.
I think
Okay,
I'm just
yeah,
mad about gay for pay. Oh,
Do
I
what?
think I'm just mad about gay for pay because I've been gay for free like an idiot this whole time. Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
Also, just this off, and then we'll move on to the final part of this. But if they would just, I mean, I agree with you, Sean. The human sexuality is a nuanced, complicated, deeply personal for some people, or people that are open about it and doesn't really have that much of a stigma for them. But it is certainly a very complicated, nuanced study. And I think to that end, though, if they're more willing to be honest, because I think we all, again, I'll start by saying it's only me, and you guys tell me if you feel the same. We've all been in situations where the person that we're filming with, or that we whatever, they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm straight." You are insulting my intelligence, my friend, by saying you are straight but engaging in this act. You are at the very least sexually open, but to maintain your heterosexuality, you're free to do that. But I am also free to say,
Give me
why
that
are you
dick.
here then? Why, right? Why are you here then? Because trust me, that was, again, it's just, and again, so how does this graft onto the gay baiters? If they were just willing to say, hey, listen, I'm on the spectrum, okay, guys, listen, I may not be fully attracted to men, or I might not have a, whatever, but I'm at the very least, I'm part of the community. I don't know where I land, but I'm part of the community. And if it's genuine, I think that'll ring true. But please don't insult my intelligence, because some of these content creators, it's amazing. If they'll start off like just this macho element that they're portraying, and then a year later, they're doing it is just full on
50 loads in a hotel.
Thank you. And you're just like, where did this come from? They're like, hey, straight. Okay, sure, buddy.
I think that's precisely one of the reasons that I'm like sort of lenient on that topic, though, is because I've seen way too many people, like Randy Blue, the very first company I started with, like many moons ago. Probably half those guys I filmed with were straight and ended up in the same situation. But like, I don't know, like that's kind of what changed my mind on the whole thing, is because watching people explore themselves over this arc of time. So it's just one of those things where I think I've just become a little more graceful of the fact, because I think a lot of people, especially when you're like that, when you're like 20, 21, getting into this industry, you don't know what the fuck's going on. You don't know your fucking self yet. So I think I've just become a little more like graceful in terms of that. But
Fair enough. All right, guys. So I want to move into the last part here, and I want to talk about sexual health, and specifically as it relates to one's own personal overview and oversight of their own sexual health, getting tested, having communications with potential sexual partners, and as that also relates to the idea of HIV, which has largely been now, and fantastically so, no longer considered a terminal illness. Large advancements have been made,
So
medically
Trump
speaking.
slashed all the funding.
Well, we'll talk about that as well. So let's to sort of dial this in, and we'll talk just specifically. Where are you guys on the idea that, let's just say, if someone's HIV positive, do they have a responsibility in the current climate to, yes, to their own health, of course, but also if they were to, let's say they're a content creator, they work on OnlyF, do they have a responsibility to inform potential partners, both personally and professionally, of that status? And we'll start with Juven on this.
I definitely feel like that conversation should be had beforehand, no matter what. But it's also up to the person, right? Because I've kind of expanded my role from being a performer now to like website owner, whatever. Throughout that whole time, I can't like police people on what they're doing, right? Because it's two consenting adults or, whatever it is. I can't sit there and say, hey, you need to do this. If someone's undetectable and they tell me, okay, cool. I have no issue with that. I hire, I don't care. I don't care if they're straight. No, I'm joking.
I don't want to catch the straight, bro.
Right. I'm not straight, bro. My thing is that's up to the two performers. I don't really want to get into that.
Or however many.
Right. Or, 100, there's instead we've had 100 guys versus one, and for me, that's a lot of paperwork, a lot of like filming. It's like 8-hour filming day, sometimes 16-hour filming days, paperwork from hell. It's like just come everywhere, people dropping loads everywhere. I'm like, whoa, watch out, don't get me, don't shoot me. But it's kind of like up to them. But it's also like, okay, I always tell people go get tested. I'm on Doxy Prep and Prep myself. I'm on the, what is it? Aptitude, the shot.
Aptitude thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on the shot.
Great.
I haven't been really filming that much. I think the last thing I did was with you, Sean, like in Houston or whatever. But outside of that, it's not really like I don't really film like that anymore. And that's totally up to the creators. And, they have to worry about their body and their sexual health more than me. I can't worry about everyone. So, yeah.
Sean?
I think, again, two consenting adults. I think everybody has a responsibility to protect themselves and educate themselves. I think there's some, this is a complicated issue because a lot of society is still stuck in the 80s mentality where you get HIV, you've got a limited number of days left and you're just going to kill over and die in the worst way possible. Because here in Louisiana, I don't even like dealing with these motherfuckers sometimes because just on the simple fact of STIs, they act like, okay, if you get chlamydia, you're going to die. Like, I don't understand that mentality. And I get they should be concerned for their health. But after coming from living in LA for like 8 years and then coming back here, I always knew Louisiana was more conservative, but this is an education issue that I think really determines where you fall on this issue. Because here, like, it's really hard to even like publicly address this, to be honest, especially in the political climate, because I watch conversations transpire over social media where people think, well, this person, never mind the fact that he was on Prep, Doxy Prep, and every other thing's known to man, but like the fact that, oh, he slept with him and so if you're on, if you're HIV positive, you're on medication and undetectable, and they're like, oh, he slept with her, he should get the death penalty. There are people in that mentality still. And so for them, the whole thing is like, this is something that we have to still carefully navigate, because in the gay community, like if you're in somewhere like Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, or any of these major cities, you understand this a lot better because you're probably hooking up more and it's just the education is better, tends to be better in these areas. However, to answer your question, in terms of models, like I think in this content creation environment that we exist in today, it's kind of you have a response. You can't police them any more for that than you can making these motherfuckers show up on time. Everybody's going to tell you that they've been tested. Everybody's going to tell you that they're green across the board. Because the unfortunate thing is a lot of them, they'll go and like their trips, you're sleeping with however many people, especially if it's like a cum dump scene. you only know the last time you got tested. There's all of these people in between. And if you don't acknowledge that, or if you don't conceive of the fact that, you know, hey, you're probably going to pick something up here now and then. This is just again, consumer producer responsibilities themselves is how I feel about it. You know how to protect yourself. At the end of the day, that's all you can worry about. That's all you can do in this industry. That was one of the good things about studios. They were a little bit better at this because they would enforce that paperwork. But with that was a different time. That was a little bit more feasible. That's not really the case in content creation world.
Okay. Does that paradigm change if it was personal? Cody, I'll get to you in just one moment. I just want to.
What do you mean?
No rush.
Does the relaying of, let's say, someone's HIV status, does that paradigm shift if it was personal? Let's just say this is a personal, away all the content creation. It's just you're hooking up with someone.
No.
Do you relate? That's
That's still my philosophy. Like I know, like I'm an adult. I know what I'm getting into. I know there's always a chance of what X, Y, and Z, and I take the responsibility of anything that I do, and I assume that anybody hooking up with me is like I handle I can't be responsible for what everyone else does. So it's the same, right? That's just how but again, you get what I'm saying.
Okay. Cody, anything you want to say here?
I agree with Sean. Yeah. I mean, yeah, as long as people are like honest, and like, let's say they do. Oh, thank you. Yeah. If they say that they, have an STI or whatever and like need to cancel, like, great. Yeah, I just assume that like people are getting tested regularly. And at the same time too, it's not about like having safer sex, but smarter sex, and that like, follow up with like Doxy Pep, or like make sure that I'm up to date on my Apertute shots or whatever. So it really is about like just protecting yourself and informing people if you do happen to catch anything. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, thank you all for giving me your takeaway. But yeah, and just I'll add my own, and then we'll kind of loop off this little section. Yeah, I mean, I got taken to task some time ago for a rather, if I may be honest, a rather clumsy job of addressing it. I was just I was reacting to a video. This is again months and months ago, where it was about HIV and a woman who had HIV saying that it was not her responsibility to tell potential sexual partners about her status. That responsibility is not hers. And to not misrepresent her position, she just said that, she's an adult and the person she's potentially having a sexual engagement with, they have a responsibility. If they're not asking, that's on them. And I'm hearing echoes of that here, and I completely agree with that. If you're an adult and you're engaging in sexual activity, irrespective of its professional or personal parameters of it, you understand that what you're getting involved in, you should take care of your sexual health first and foremost. The only thing that I argued was that if someone has a knowable sexual infection, I think they have a responsibility to inform that person.
Right.
Because for me, why does your own, and this is where I'll let you guys jump in if you'd like to, why does your own sexual anonymity on this, why does that trump someone else's being informed of it? Allow them to make that decision. If they don't like it, that sucks. Because yes, we've made huge strides of advancement socially and medically, that having HIV isn't this stigma anymore. People can live long, healthful, full lives, and people can get their viral load down to such a low level that they can't even transmit the virus to people. So we've made huge strides, and that's all fantastic. To me, I don't think that nullifies the social aspect of informing someone, saying, hey, listen, and the woman who, again, I'd love to maybe talk to one day, she said even on dates she wouldn't tell the person. For me, I don't think that's something you drop on the first date, like, hey, by the way. But if you're potentially going to see the person again, I think you should say, hey, listen, before we go on our second date, I wanted to share this with you. I don't think you should be sharing it in a social engagement. If it's just a willy-nilly, you're going to a party, that's ridiculous. But to a sexual partner, I think 100% of the time, and then for someone you're dating, that's just where. And anyway, what do you guys think?
In case I wasn't clear, if you're exposing someone to something that you have, you should tell them. I think exposure is the key there, in case that sounded as if I were saying it any other way. But I think I was kind of approaching it from a how to protect yourself safety perspective. But if you knowingly expose someone to an STI, you're kind of a dick. Like, but that gets a little gray when you're doing, like, let's say a cum dump collaboration. There's 50 guys. Well, okay, you know what you're getting into. Like, you gotta sit there and go to all 50 guys and be like, hey, let me see your paperwork, because you're never gonna film that scene if you do that.
Yeah, there's actually been times, one time where I had to go down the whole list of all the guys that were potentially exposed.
Huh.
Now I have like doxycycline on deck, and I had to like pass it out. I'm like, oh, this is a fucking mess. It's just so much extra, and the video wasn't even hot. Like, it wasn't even for like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the thing that sucks. It's like, fuck, it wasn't even hot. Like, should I even release this? Like, and it just becomes more annoying than anything. But, I still have to do my part, not being a fucking
Right.
dick. I still have to do my part. And as a producer and owner of the website, I have to notify everyone because it was brought to my attention. And I'm still going to do the right thing no matter what. At the end of the day, yeah, it's a lot more work. Yeah, it's fucking annoying, but I'm still going to do what's right. And, there's some guys who said, okay, well, I'm not going to come back anymore. I said, okay, well, that's a risk that to come dump. Like, be for real, dog.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
out of it. Like, be delusional. Like, come on. What do you expect? Shit. But yeah.
Okay. Do you guys think that with with OnlyFans and how that exploded, do you think that contributed to a degradation of sexual health and awareness, or do you feel like that has enhanced it, or is it somewhere in between?
No, in the industry, I think it's definitely led to a degradation of it, because that's one of those cons that I was saying about when you compare studio work in the old days versus today. Studios at least had that stuff on a lot, if that was their thing. Like, but you knew getting into it with them, it's like, hey, we test for this and we're going to do this and we're going to have the paperwork and it's all, but you're not usually talking about like 40, 50, 60, sometimes more people for a cum dump scene, where it's just, that's kind of sort of thing is like not really manageable. But that's just one of the things, that's frustrating, because you have a lot of these guys, they may have filmed with like 40 fucking people doing a cum dump thing before they got to you on your, and it's kind of just ridiculous to think that they're, when the last time they got tested was. And that's kind of what it's boiled down to. You're just taking people's word for it. And that's just it. That's just the risk, if you don't, can't really enforce accountability in this industry like that.
Right,
like,
right.
as much as you want to.
Right. I mean, how would you? I agree with you guys. How would you guys enforce it? I mean, when it's about sheer volume and a quantitative nature of it, I mean, how do you enforce it? It's almost, it would be, you'd spend all your time and all your money just doing that. And, someone maybe would argue that is, it's worth it, but never the people that do the large scale more. Go ahead.
No, I'll let you finish.
For the people that are doing like large scale productions, or having more, higher quantity of people for whatever thing that they're going to be filming. I mean, yeah, it just doesn't have a financial through line that would make any sense.
I think my greatest concern with trying to enforce something like that is, in the past, you dealt with studios. There was a business that not only could hold you accountable, but that you could hold accountable with, for example, and we touched on this earlier, your data. Do you trust all of these content creators with your medical records, or at least documentation in that regard, for whatever it says? There's just, I've seen way too much pettiness and cattiness to ever give, like, and that's not to say there's nothing to be trusted, but like, I don't even trust a lot of these motherfuckers to give my fucking license to. Let alone like, okay, here's all this information or whatever, I get this is one of those things in theory. It's like, okay, but I don't really even trust these people hardly with my real name, let alone, that's one of the good things about OnlyFans. You just basically tag somebody in the work that you've done. They handle the paperwork. So that verification, was just on them. So, and again, there's also the fact that when you're getting all of people's information, do you trust yourself to hold on to it? Not that you would do anything malicious with it, but that's got to be stored somewhere. People can get a hold of that, whether it's online, whether you can be hacked, whether it's hard copies, is still vulnerable to people getting a hold of that data. And if that data falls into the hands of somebody malicious and you fail to protect it, with all these people that we're filming with, that again falls on you. And so there's a level of logistics there of holding people legally accountable that is just not, I don't think, a feasible thing in the content creator, not in the way that we would typically impose some like universal law in that regard. Because if we do, it's going to kill a lot of the industry.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. Cody, Sean, Juven, Cody, you guys want to add anything or?
Yeah. I mean, in terms of just like content creation, there have been a few instances where I've worked with content or other content creators who asked me to provide test results, and then they would provide theirs, to which I was like, yeah, that's cool. I mean, I get tested regularly
Yeah.
anyways, but yeah. And I mean, it's just as simple, just like, okay, we're
Thanks.
about to film. Here's the, yeah. Which I mean, it's good to have, but just like flashing the results like on your phone to them and they look at
Right.
yours and yeah, like that's fine. They're not holding on to anything,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, totally.
So it's more of
hear
a,
what you're
more of
saying,
a
Sean.
formality,
Yeah,
than at that point.
yeah.
All right, Juven, anything you want to add before I ask the final little thing here, and then I'll let you guys get back to your lives.
What is the final question? Okay, go ahead, Juven.
So, Juven, go. You want to add anything?
Nope. Good.
Okay. So,
Oh,
guys,
you're gonna add something.
where
No, I'm just.
where do you think the industry is headed in the next 10 years?
To hell. I'm just kidding.
Why? Okay,
Oh, I
just
was being facetious.
okay. Like what specifically? What technological or cultural shifts do you see on the horizon for this industry?
AI.
And what change do you hope for this industry? What would be that one thing? I'll make it very general for you guys.
Okay, I'll go first. AI is already on the rise. I already see a lot of Instagram ads, Facebook ads, AI websites already starting to pop up and people are purchasing them. One of my friends, he actually built one of them and he said that it's starting to pick up steam, which for me, I'm like, people can fall in love with creators that don't exist. Like, okay, I get it. It's like Disney cartoons, right? It's like, Marvel characters, they fall in love with the thought of Spider-Man or, Superman, Batman. But for me, I don't think I'll ever go down that road. I don't want to. Now, if it's like $1 million, like I might
Never say never.
right, a little something strange, some change, but no, I'm joking. No, the AI is not for me. I don't think I want to. A lot of people have told me to just make an AI video of me bottoming. Just, I know, right?
Do it.
Just so
Do
they
it.
have
Do
the
it.
thought of me bottoming. I don't know. It's not for me. But VR headsets are starting to become very popular, which I do like. Maybe in a couple more years, we'll start, going into that realm with VR. The VR cameras that I try to purchase are all sold out, especially now with tariffs and stuff. It's just kind of hard to grab. Yeah, that's what I see.
And specifically, I just want to say with the website your friend made, that these were all AI models, and there was not a real
100% AI models. He had a creator create the AI models, what they looked like, their likeness. He took a couple like gay creators that he liked and, made their faces kind of similar to them. But it kind of gets into the copyright issue, right? That's where I kind of feel like I just don't want to get involved with that because then it's like copyright. You can't.
Did he not get their permission to use their likeness?
No, because he would change their skin tones. Like, okay, this person is.
There's still a lawsuit to be had on that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to get
You can thank
involved
Taylor
with
Swift for
that.
that.
I know, right?
And Trump.
I don't want to get involved with that. Then it could, it's a slippery slope. What is it? Revenge porn, is it just becomes too much for me to handle. I like the human interaction.
Then you get involved in like deep fakes,
Right.
and just
Exactly. What's considered
sure,
a deep
yeah.
fake, it just becomes this huge thing that I don't have the bandwidth for that. So yeah, I'm gonna stick to what I know.
So would you say that the outlook is technologically impressive, but there are a lot of underpinnings to it that could really sort of slow down that progress? Is that what you're saying?
Either way, that's it. Either way, it's going to happen if we like it or not. That's where it's going.
Right.
No matter what, AI's here. So,
Do you think AI will eventually make models, and not just models, but just since we're talking about it, do you think it'll make models obsolete?
I hope not. But it's kind of like okay, like DVDs and VHS, right? It's kind of like what the difference is. It's kind of like CDs and iPod. If we're not going to evolve with it, we're going to be left behind. But I do have hope that people do like the human interaction. I do feel like whenever our models do club appearances, that they do feel like, oh my God, they are real. I can touch them. I can possibly hook up with them. I can possibly dick in them, instead of it being AI. And you're just like, yeah, snap out of it. It's never going to happen. It's never going to work. You have to work within yourself, I guess. But I do have the hope that people will continue to buy, adult porn that has real performers, real gay men who want to engage in real adult stuff. That's what I hope for. And I'm forever going to be hopeful for that. And I will die on that cross.
Okay. Sean, go ahead.
There's no stopping that train. It's already here. I don't know if you're aware, but there are Instagram accounts for the Instagram models who are 100% AI, and they're raking in millions for these companies who have AI to do their marketing. So they are replacing influencers already. And the only question is how quick this technology is going to progress to. I already see, like Juven said, there's already sites that are implementing this. This is another reason why I've sort of gravitated to doing webcam, because it's been more of a, for one, OnlyFans is so like out there, right? It's everywhere. Everything is content now. So connecting with your fan base is a different story when you do something like live webcamming. And I think, and like Juven said, we could do like live appearances and actually go meet people. There's always going to be that desire for a genuine connection. However, that being said, I don't know how many of you played with AI models. Like, they can learn your personality. They can learn things about they're already grabbing this data from the internet, right? And so I don't think it will ever entirely replace us, but you would be a fool to dismiss it. And everybody's like, oh, I can tell when it's AI. It's just not the same. Yep, for now. And those are the ones that you can tell, because there's a lot. It's like saying, oh, I can tell when somebody's lying. Okay, until you can't. You don't know they're lying to you. So it's coming. I think it's fascinating, to be honest. I don't feel threatened about it, because I think it would be like a letter writer feeling threatened by the telephone. Like, this is overall, I think, generally a good thing, that is filling a void that something in our society is no longer fulfilling. Loneliness is an epidemic at this point, and people are missing that genuine connection. And there's so much OnlyFans out there, like, it's hard to feel genuinely connected to these models at this point, because porn is just so everywhere. Not that I think that's good or bad, but clearly people are starting to lack things that AI is. I watch a lot of AI porn just because it's probably like half because it's arousing and half because I'm just fascinated by what people come up with. But I think the industry will change. I think if you want to remain, it's going to be one of those things where at one point the studios had to adopt to the OnlyFans and other Just for Fans and all these other platforms. Now content creators are going to have to adapt to AI, because when studios purchase the infrastructure to mass produce and mass collect data at a rate faster than you could ever hope to keep, it's already hard to keep up with this, right? Just with the content creators in general. And if somebody can enter a prompt and create their own porn of what they want to see, and have you do, or have anyone do exactly what they want to do. Now, there are going to be laws and regulations, like you said, deepfakes and all that. There's already laws on the books for that. But, it's still going to be a thing that's hard. It's so much of a gray area that it's going to have a major impact on the industry. I think a big sizable chunk of it is going to become AI porn, to where you just type your prompt in and you're going to create your own porn scene before long.
Cody, do you see a very similar future for all of us in that regard?
Yeah. I'm so glad you guys answered first, because I am taking notes, because I have no idea what the future holds. So yay. But yeah.
Death and destruction.
But yeah, within the next couple of years, hopefully not. Yeah, I can definitely see people just, making their own porn with AI. You're so right. I mean, we have Sora, right? Video making. Anyways, yes, it's going to be a thing.
You can also make your own music. That's really fucked up.
That too.
It's been my thing lately. People hate it, but I love it.
That's pretty cool. Yeah. So just,
yeah.
Seconding and thirding what they said. Yeah.
I think we come to a point where the utility of UI, which has a lot of uses, right? And a lot of practical and an absolvement of the mundane and the by rote nature of a lot of tasks, that is really an attractive thing for a lot of people. And that includes myself. But then you come to a point where it's like, when does that start phasing out jobs and people's ability to connect with actual humans on something. Because I feel like AI, as useful as it is, it has to be reined in. And I don't know if we, in fact, I do know, we are not doing enough to make sure that there are not guardrails in place that make AI be something that is a useful tool, but shouldn't grow beyond what it potentially could be, which is, I think, what we're discussing. The implications, both explicit and implicit, of AI is that it could become so monumentously a part of our lives that it'll be indistinguishable from any human interaction. You won't be able to tell the difference.
That's fine. Never been a fan of humanity myself.
With all the faults that humans possess, and I know you're joking.
I'm not, actually.
Oh, you're not.
No.
My lord, let's. I mean, you're not gonna you're not gonna find disagreement with me about how humans possess a bevy of traits that I find completely disagreeable. But are you saying that humans have outgrown their usefulness and AI is just a birthing of our evolution?
All I'm saying is, was Ultron really the bad guy?
Might have been
Never
onto
mind.
something.
No,
Never mind.
I mean there's something there. Have we, I mean, actually, here's one thing. People always, especially in the 50s when the Cold War was growing, and then in the 60s and 70s when it was still very much a part of everyone's lives. Everyone, and I'm not saying it's completely gone, it's definitely not, but the idea that humans would see their end in a nuclear holocaust, that would be our end. Do you think that has now shifted to AI replacing us? Is going to be what our end is?
I mean, I have
Uplifting
thoughts on
things
this,
up.
but I'll
Yeah.
let other people talk before I say anything.
Juven, where do you stand on nuclear holocaust or AI replacement?
If they're gonna do it now, because I'm tired of paying rent. I'm tired of paying taxes.
Right?
I'm just get it over with. Yeah, I mean,
Bring on the nukes.
yeah, bring it on. No, yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like people are leaning more into that, but at the end of the day, humans still need humans no matter what. Even if AI is gonna take over the world, that's fine, but they still need humans to build everything. They're not gonna have their humanity. Being a human, that human touch, that I think that's one thing that I've always banked on, is that human touch, that human interaction that you can get from AI or computers or anything else. Yeah, people can build their own prompts and stuff. And if someone says, "Oh, let's create an AI that can destroy the world," okay, but they still need sexual, pleasure. If they want to be a human, AI is trying to create and replicate something that it can never be. You know what I mean? Like, if that makes sense. Even if they destroy all the porn websites, AI is still gonna want to feel loved, still gonna want to feel kisses, still gonna want to feel that because that's what humanity is. So
You're
bring
saying
on
the AI would want that.
Right. I hear you, but I mean, I guess the real danger for most people, or the real like thought experiment that is potentially dangerous, is that it will become so advanced, Juven, that it will be indistinguishable from humans, and you won't be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, but that's the thing. But you're always going to be able to. AI is always going to tell on itself because it's always going to need to have that human connection because that's where it's getting all of its prompts from. We can't sit there and say it's going to evolve by itself. Okay, if it does, good for it, but it still needs. You're trying to mimic something and make it better, but it's not organic. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. It's like Nicki Minaj and Little Kim. The barber's going to come after me for this.
I want to see how this connects.
Huh?
I want to see how this connects.
Little Kim is the blueprint, right? She's the first female rapper that did it big. And Nicki Minaj stole everything from her, but did it better. Nicki Minaj is the number one queen right now. But people don't give homage to her like that. Kind of like Lady Gaga, Madonna. Madonna's the first one that went out and did it. And now Lady Gaga stole her whole identity, redid all of her stuff, and is a new cute thing. But you still go back in history and look and say, okay, this is where she got all those ideas from. That's what it is. I think at the end of the day, people are still going to be able to tell AI. Sorry, Sean. Don't kill me.
No.
I did.
I follow what you're saying. I think from a the way these models have been improving.
Yeah.
I think there are, and there's there are quite a bit of examples of people not really knowing the difference.
I
Or
think the
what
one
might terrify people even more is that some people realize the difference and are still there's entire people. I follow quite a bit of people in the AI industry who are worried about sort of how people are making these connections with these. Right now, we're not technically at AI. We are at generative LLM models, but it's become people have associated. And I say this because like AI was something I studied back in school at a philosophy degree, but like half of that was a philosophy of mind and artificial intelligence. So it's interesting to see some of this. What we have right now is not really AI, but people are still connecting it with it, or at least in their mind, connecting with it in a way that is fulfilling a void that humans aren't in this technological environment. A lot of people are not having those needs met. So I think maybe to say that people will be able to tell the difference, one, accounting for that these models are going to be increasingly better at what they do and how they extract data from, like you said, they're building off the human mind. But there's a point where a sort of inflection point where it is beyond the human mind and it's able to outthink us in a human way more than we can. And so what's concerning, at least on a level of intimacy, is how these things are already drawing people in. So I don't know where that's going to take us. I make no predictions for the future, but I do know that I don't think government is equipped to deal with something like this. I don't think any of us are quite ready for it. So, but I do think, I don't know, I am a big fan of AI, but I do think it is something that should be approached with caution. I probably watch more. It's not necessarily AI generated porn, but I've already sort of like, I don't really watch. I love seeing the things that people have been creating, and I think I've followed more of that lately than I have actual like humans. I just,
Okay.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. Cody, I'll let you have the last word, and then we'll have to wrap things up here. Anything you want to add? No.
No thoughts, no words. AI is here, and that's all I have to say to that.
Okay.
Proto
All right,
AI. Sorry, Sean. I was listening to you.
You can say whatever you want, gorgeous.
Okay. I feel like the subtext here has been like this completely set up this unintended collaboration by
I'll see you
having
too,
all this here.
man.
All right, so gentlemen, much appreciated to all of you. Thanks for taking the time out to talk about issues that I find to be important. Is there last thing I'll say? Is there anything that I should be talking about or that people should be talking about as it relates to the adult industry that no one is?
I think you've hit on some really good issues.
All right. Well, if I'm sure people will remind me in the comments. And by the way, Juven, I did not expect people attacking me who are barbs. So I look forward to that. Thank you very much for bringing up.
Man, fuck the barbs. Put that on the reel.
There we go. There we go.
I am a little Kim.
Perfect. She rules. Oh yeah.
Cody, who's your favorite musical artist? We'll end on a light note.
God, right now? Oh my gosh. It's just J-pop girly, Auto, ADO. She's just great. I love her.
So Japanese pop. This is a Japanese pop artist.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
What?
Say again?
Yeah.
Say again?
Sean, who his favorite.
Sean, I'm sorry, Sean. Go ahead, please.
No, I wasn't saying Lil Kim was right. My favorite artist, Disturbed, but I'm old school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't follow
Alright.
the whole. I don't even know what the Barbs. I know they're the Nicki Minaj fans.
Yeah,
Isn't
yeah,
there like another clique that
Yeah.
they don't get along with?
Right, yeah. This is just like.
That's the
Anyone.
extent of my knowledge.
Anyway,
I was somewhat of. It's not that I dislike any of their music because I always get like shit when I say that, but it's like. It's not my cup of tea. Like if I'm in the gym, like I'm going hardcore to like gangster rap or like heavy metal or hard rock or something like that. Like, or when I'm running, that's what I do. Disturbed is like, has always been like my thing.
did you like their cover of the Sound of Silence that they did
I
years ago?
haven't liked a lot of their most recent. Not that I've disliked it, but I
Here we
still.
go.
The one I always go back to is my favorite album of all time was back in like 2002 is Believe.
Mhm.
And so, that's. I listen to a bunch of, I guess now these days, old stuff.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you very much for your time. And I
Mhm.
will see you guys hopefully soon. And it's been a pleasure. Thank you all.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.